Hello there, I'm Alice Oliver, and you're listening to Just Films and That, the podcast that celebrates films we think are underrated or underseen. It was Josh's turn to pick the film this week, and he went with Robin Hood from 1973. So let's get to it. So then, Josh, you picked this week's film, Robin Hood, the Disney cartoon version from 1973. So, spoiler warning, listeners, if you haven't seen that. So, Josh, what is the film about and why did you pick it?
What is the film Robin Hood, the Disney one, about? Otherwise known as Sexy Fox Robin Hood.
Indeed.
Basically, Alice, it's the story of Robin Hood.
Funny though.
The English legend who robbed from the rich to give to the poor. Except everyone in it is an animal.
Cool.
And it's a Disney film, so it's for kids. That is nothing more to say, really, about the plot of the film. Why did I pick it? So, I picked this because I've been thinking that we hadn't been doing a film like this for a while. You know, we hadn't done like a family film or a film just for kids. We've done a few in the past. There was a couple on my list, and I thought, you know what? In my mind, this is pretty beloved, this film. Right, and I'm waiting to see what you think about it, but I've heard it talked about on other podcasts. I've talked about it in conversation when you talk about Disney films and kids films and films you watched when you were a kid and stuff like that. And it always seems quite like, oh yeah, I love the Disney Fox Robin Hood and all that. And then I looked at the critical reception, and it's pretty low without going into it.
Interesting.
And I thought that's weird because I always thought this was like a really loved film.
Yeah.
And it turns out critically it didn't do that well.
Okay.
So I thought, well, so I'm going at this, I suppose, from an underrated point of view, but also I just want to talk about Sexy Fox Robin Hood.
Yeah, you got some things you want to share with us, have you, about that, Josh? Yeah, we're gonna be having some revelations here, listeners.
Had you seen it before then?
Yeah, I'd seen this a lot. This was one of my favourite films as a kid. Probably up until recently considered it my favorite Disney film.
Wow.
Like, probably still up there, but I think if I really sort of sat down and had a long, hard think about it, there may be others now, especially with the way sort of Disney's going. A lot of the stories and the quality of them is just like, they're pretty good. They're pretty good films, aren't they? So I reckon if I actually thought about it, there'd be another one that maybe knocked it off the top spot. But yeah, we loved this film in my household.
It's up there. It's up there.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you buy it or was it recorded off the telly?
No, we had this one, I think, on VHS.
See, we had it recorded off the telly.
Did you? Yeah.
We had this, followed by Sword in the Stone.
Oh, God. Epic.
Followed by like some sort of I don't know, like Sylvester and Tweety or Looney Tunes cartoons or something, like on a long play video, kids. for the kids listening. There's no kids listening.
A good 3-hour VHS, used to love them.
Yeah.
All that space.
So we're both coming at this then. So this will be interesting. We're both coming at this from the point of view of nostalgia, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
So we've both seen it before. We've both watched it again. So I don't know, what did you think? I'm interested to know.
So, like you said, a lot of the nostalgia there. That is going to be hard to overlook. I was certainly able to look at it critically and sort of analyse it as a film, and especially as a Disney film, and sort of in terms of how those have evolved over the years. But I was still just like a big giant baby when the rooster started singing it. I was just gone.
That song, right? So that whistle, that
yeah.
That's been stuck in my head since I saw it.
Obviously.
You know, do you have like this might be me, but do you have like a go-to whistle?
No, not really. I'm not much
just
of a
me,
whistler.
Then apparently I'm a cartoon milkman or something. But yeah, like if I'm like absent-mindedly whistling, it will be the.
Wow, really? Oh my God, it's ingrained in you.
It is. But that's what Disney are good at, isn't it? That's what.
Yes.
There is so much about this that's iconic, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get stuck into it then. So critically, looking at it critically, what did you like watching it this time?
Oh, the songs, man. All of them.
Yeah.
All the songs. The first one, the second one, all the ones later in the film. They're all brilliant. And a lot of it is like a lot of the music is really grand and really big.
Yeah,
Like when
yeah.
Prince John and his soldiers and that are walking through the forest, there's like do 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 do, and then similar kind of motif going on later, just before when they're getting ready for the archery competition. To try and
Yeah.
trick Robin Hood or whatever. Yeah, the music, so much of the music just feels so big and grand, but then you've got then some like really stripped down songs like Not in Nottingham, like when they're in
Oh
the
yeah,
prison and
yeah.
stuff, and they're singing that one. So there's just a really nice balance, and I love the songs so much. They're
They're
probably
great,
some
aren't
of my
they?
favorite Disney songs,
Yeah,
I
because
reckon.
they're a bit more low key. Like they're not like a lot of Disney songs, particularly if you look towards the big golden period of the '90s when we were kids. Because it's obviously before we were born. Um, Songs became a lot more poppy and a
Mm.
lot more story based in terms of like moving the story along or explaining stuff. If you think of like the way like when we did Hercules, the way Hercules is structured, they use the songs to progress the plot, don't they?
Very narrative heavy,
Yeah,
aren't they, in
whereas this is
Hercules?
just
Yeah.
like bumbling along,
Yeah, yeah.
watching Robin Hood and Little John. Like and I think that there's an element with the way it looks and the way it sounds that for me, really captures the essence of the character, what you
Hmm.
want from a Robin Hood film. Like, I'm not like
Yeah.
a Robin Hood expert or anything like that, but everything I associate with Robin Hood sort of comes from this.
Same. Yep.
And I don't think it's not bad. Do you know what I mean? I think it
I
really
don't think it
captures the
is,
essence
no.
of what British people think of when they think of Robin Hood. Like you're
Yeah.
not thinking about Russell Crowe, are you? Or even
Never.
Taron
No.
Egerton.
No, never.
So this has definitely done a good job with like continuing that legend, hasn't it? I mean, the idea itself is genius. It's the story of Robin Hood, but it's animals.
Mm.
So it gets kids interested. It's cute. Everything like something else I noticed about this. Nothing else is different. So they live as people, but they're
They
just
do, yeah.
animals.
They
So they
use
all live in
money, they shoot
they use money.
arrows, they
They
wear
live in
clothes.
houses.
Yeah,
The
they live in
rabbits
houses.
like
They've got
there's a rabbit.
taxes.
Yeah, there's a rabbit family who just
Yeah.
live in a house. So
Yeah.
like there's no like oh it's their rabbits and it's a warren or he's a fox and he
Yeah,
lives.
yeah.
It's just it's just people replaced with animals
Yeah.
and that's and everything else is the same. And I love that like there's a dog that's a blacksmith.
Yeah, yeah, with his poor broken leg, who's
With
wearing
his
a
broken
cast.
leg.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Which means there must be a
it's
doctor somewhere because someone set his leg, right?
yeah, I wonder what animal's the doctor,
Yeah,
do you
never
think?
saw the doctor.
Owl. It's got to be an owl, right? Like
Oh, yeah,
wise.
then Mr.
No,
Trick
but then
is
they've got
not.
no thumbs, have they? So like,
Oh, true, that'd be tricky to
because it's not
wrap a
it's
cast.
not all woodland animals, is it? I used to think, oh, it's all woodland animals like
It's all
foxes and
kinds,
rabbits,
yeah.
but
It's
there's
rhinos.
there's rhinos and lions and
Yeah,
a snake. Like, so none of it makes any sense. It's like a big old trip, isn't it? But
yeah, it is a bit.
but weirdly, they do a really good like job of capturing the characters in the like
Mm.
Robin Hood, sorry, he's clever, he's a fox.
Hmm.
And
Cunning, yes.
and the
Sneaky.
sheriff is he a wolf or a bear? He's a
I think
bear.
he's a
No,
wolf.
he's a wolf,
I
yeah.
think the sheriff is a wolf, and
And
then
then
Little John
John's
is a
a bear,
bear.
but they look so similar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there are some animals I'm not too sure what they are. It's like Arthur. Did you ever like see Arthur when you were a kid? And it's like, what's? I know it took me being an adult for my sister to tell me that Arthur is an aardvark.
He's an aardvark,
And
but
I was
looks
like,
like a
what?
guinea
Looks
pig.
fuck
Yeah.
all like an aardvark. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I've been to the zoo, Alice. I know what
I
an
know,
aardvark
I've seen. Don't you try and tell me that is a freaking aardvark. I'm not buying it.
So the idea is great, and it is just it's really endearing. It's really
Yeah.
funny.
Mhm.
Like there's some stuff in it's just made funnier by the fact that they're animals. Like Maid Marian's what's it? Is it Lady in Waiting? Nurse Clucky.
Yeah.
She's like a lady in waiting, isn't she? She's like a chambermaid or something.
Mm.
She's a chicken, and it's just really funny that she's a chicken and she's playing rugby with rhinos. I was like chuckling to herself. My partner's going, "What are you laughing at?" And I was just
Yeah,
going,
you think
I've
about
just
it
never
too
noticed
much.
it's a Scottish chicken playing rugby with
Yeah.
with some rhinos. I thought it was I'd never noticed as well what great foils the villains are. Like Prince John he's a big baby, isn't he? Like he's sucking
He
his
is a
thumb
big
and
baby.
he's
Yeah.
really spoiled and all that. So I thought that was really good as well. Like as a kid, I loved this film, and I'm not gonna lie. When I saw the critical reception, I thought go back and watch it. I was a bit like, oh, have I missed something? Do I just
Mhm.
love it did I just love it when I was a kid? But like,
Yeah.
if it had been any film, if they put any film in front of me, would I have loved that? But I have to say, it held up. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So what else did you like? What else did you like having watched it again?
You touched on it there a bit. Some of it is quite funny. But some of the funniest moments for me are the ones that aren't like outright jokes or anything, but are just more subtle things. So, for instance, when Robin and Little John dress up like female fortune tellers to try and trick Prince John, obviously because they want to nick all his cash. So Robin does a fake voice to try and make it more convincing. He's like, Oo-De-Lally, fortune tellers. But Little John doesn't bother. So he just goes, get your fortunes, lucky charms. So he's in this female disguise, but then doing his
With it's like a
regular
Texan
voice.
drawl.
And I was just like, Robin's gone to all that effort to put on his fake voice. And Little John's just like, no, I'm not changing my voice for no one or whatever. So I thought that was really funny. Like you touched on Lady Cluck there as well. So I like the fact that when she does an impression of Prince John, she holds her ear and sucks his thumb and calls for mummy, right? Which says to me that Prince John has done that in public. So we see him do it in private. He does it in front of Hiss, but there's a running joke throughout that everyone does that when they're doing an impression of him. So Lady Cluck does it, and then Little John does it later as well, which says to me that he's done that in public
known for
at
doing
least
that.
once. Like, that's ridiculous. Like the sort of usurper king who's like, oh, mummy. That was funny.
That's great.
It's really emotional. I thought it was really emotional. It was for me anyway. So when the sheriff takes the farthing from the little boy rabbit,
little
so
baby
Skippy,
rabbit.
on his
Oh, my
birthday,
word.
Jesus Christ, that broke me into a million pieces.
It's
So
horrible.
it's horrendous. So I started crying then at that point.
Really?
And then I pretty much cried on and off throughout the whole
You
thing.
must have been dehydrated, mate.
Well, I was having a bit of a rough week anyway, so I was feeling particularly emotional. So I will say that. But yeah, as soon as he took the little coin and the mum's like, "Have you no heart? We all saved to get him that one farthing for his birthday." I was like, "Oh my god!" Yeah, it tipped me over the edge. Couldn't take it.
That's how you do a villain, though, isn't it? Taking a farthing off a little baby rabbit.
Because he's I think he is a better villain than Prince John is in a way, as the sheriff. I guess because he's the one actually on the ground doing it, and he seems to enjoy it.
Opposite, isn't he? He's the actual opposite of Robin Hood rather than the puppet master sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, but yeah, just got me.
Something else I noticed about it when I was watching as well is it looks incredible. Like to think that this must all be hand drawn, but there's some really colourful, established shots of castles and stuff, and they look like watercolor pictures, or they look like pictures that you'd see in these National Trust houses and stuff where they've painted the castles and stuff. They look like that, and then they animate them, so it's like they're still, and then they animate them, and I just thought there was elements of it, and it's similar with Sword and Stone as well, of these beautiful establishing shots, and the fact that is hand drawn is. I know things are different now, but like that wasn't lost on me this time thinking about that, like how amazing that is that someone is, because I can't draw for shit. Like I cannot draw. And to see that is incredible.
Yeah. Still packs a punch, and it was still like I went into it, like you said, I wanted to be careful. I didn't want it to just be, because I know I did that a little bit with Ewoks, where it's like, oh, I just loved this film when I was a kid, so obviously I'm going to still love it now. But I did think there was a lot to like about it. And yeah, just killed me, Josh. Can't believe you picked it. This is the hardest I've cried. Even more than what was the Adam Sandler one?
Rain Over Me.
Yeah. The Foxes got me hard. So we'll move on then to talking about anything that we maybe didn't like about the film, or anything that we would change. So Josh, where are your thoughts on this? Where's your head at?
It's so hard because we want to be balanced, and I struggled to find stuff, but I did manage to find stuff. So I've separated I've got a few short points, right, and I've separated them into two categories of dislikes. One, fair point. 2, not fair point because it's for kids. If
Oh
that
yeah.
makes
Oh,
sense,
I've
right?
got a few of those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so what do you want first? Not fair because it's for kids, or fair because it's just a point?
So I think start with the not fair because it's for
Start with the
kids
not
because
fair.
they'll
All
be
right.
quite
All right.
mild, I think, and then we
Yeah.
can
I
move
mean,
on to the heavy
so
stuff.
so there's only two things. One, at some points, the dialogue is a bit expedition dumpy,
Hmm.
but it's for kids,
It's
so
for kids. Yeah.
it's
Can we
almost,
get away
there's
from that?
bits of it that are almost educational as well.
Hmm.
So I think it's kind of necessary as well in places. And the other one is there were, even though it's not even an hour and a half long, there was the odd bit where the tempo dropped and I got a little bit bored.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
again, it isn't for a 31-year-old man.
Hmm.
As far as I know,
No.
it is for kids. So those are my not fair points. That,
Hmm.
I think that is me looking at it not as a kid.
Hmm. And
Then my fair points. Okay, so couple of things. First is there actually isn't much of a plot.
hmm.
It's just sort of there. It just sort of happens, right? Which is, it's not. I don't even know if I disliked it. It's just something that I noticed.
Hmm.
It's 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 like it must be over a couple of days, right? And it's just their life, what happens in their life, sort of thing.
Mm.
The other things, which are actual points, I suppose, is first of all, it's quite dark. I'd forgotten that, like, there's a bit where they're literally building a scaffolding to hang someone,
Oh
and
shit! Yeah, it's fire
and
tuck, right? They're gonna
yeah,
hang him.
and
Yeah.
there's mentions of nooses and
Mm.
being hung at dawn and all that, which is quite dark for kids. I
It's
mean, I don't
pretty fucking
like if
dark.
you think,
Yeah.
but then because I was watching it with my partner who also loved it, and she said she'd never noticed how dark it was, and then we sort of went, but it didn't bother me when I was a kid.
I don't think it
I
bothered
don't
me
remember
either.
watching it going,
No.
oh, like I don't. I just remember being like, oh yeah, people got hung, so like yeah,
Yeah, I think same. I
um,
think as well
yeah,
because that is I think that is kind of really the only dark thing in it. And then because everyone does live happily ever after, nobody dies. Like they don't
no,
actually hang Friar Tuck, but then everyone
mm,
else survives or whatever.
mm,
Like it is a nice ending, probably the
mm,
best ending that you could expect. So I
yeah,
think that's the feeling that you're left with.
yeah. And the other point I had was I'd never noticed before that there's a really weird mix of American and English accents.
Yes, yeah,
And
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, it started to put me off a bit. Like, or it was, like when you can't help but have wandering thoughts, and I was like, where's Little John from? Why is he from
Yeah, where's he?
Texas?
Yeah,
How did they
why is
meet?
he visiting? Is he visiting
They
Nottingham?
hadn't even discovered America
Yeah.
at this point. So that was a bit like, I was, yeah, like, why are the sheriff and Little John sound so similar? The
Mm,
cast, I think, are really good. The voices do capture the
mm,
characters, but there's bits where it's like, Robin Hood's English, Little John's American, Prince John's English, Hiss is
mhm,
English, the sheriff's American. And it's just because Disney were obviously using the same actors. Like the guys, there's a lot of people in this who were in the Jungle Book.
mm.
I think the voice of Baloo is Little John, isn't he? And
Yeah,
then
yeah, you
and
can
then
hear that. Yeah, is it
I've
Phil
definitely
Harris?
heard, yeah, I think it's Phil Harris, and then I've
Mm.
definitely heard the sheriff's voice in other stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
I think he's definitely at least in Aristocats.
Oh, is it? Is he
At
Thomas
least,
O'Malley?
yeah. No, not
Uh
Thomas O'Malley, but that is also Baloo and
oh, is it?
Little
That's Phil
John. I
Harris.
think is Thomas
So
O'Malley.
it
Yeah,
must just be because they must have just had contracted
yeah. They've got
voice
five
actors.
guys. The five
Yeah.
guys before there
Can
were
you
five
do
guys.
can you do a Big Bear? Yeah. Can you
Yeah,
do a
can
Big
you
Bear
do
3 times? Yeah,
sexy
okay.
cocky cat? Yeah.
Can you do a bear, but it's shrunk down into the form of a cat,
Yeah,
and
yeah. That's
basically you're
basically it.
sexy? Yeah. But that's it from me. What about you? I mean, is there much? Is there much, Alice?
So there are a few things, and none of these ruined it for me, but they were things that came to mind as I was watching. So it is a lot more simple than I remember,
Mm,
and everything is just kind of convenient because the things need to happen.
mm,
So I do feel like Disney, Pixar, and many kids' films today are more sophisticated. They have more depth to the stories. And I think this was lacking a bit with that one. Obviously, it's just a product of its time. I'm not going to batter it too much for that. But you can definitely see how far we've come when you then
absolutely.
compare
If
it to
you
children's films of today.
well, look at, so for example, the first one that comes to mind, like that's a really good way of putting it, actually, because I suppose that's what I was thinking when I said there's not really a plot.
Mm,
It's simple, and I
hmm.
think
It
I
is
hadn't thought of
simple.
it that way. But if you think, for example, now, if you think about Soul,
Hmm.
a Disney film that came out, a couple of years ago, that is like all about existentialism and where
Yeah,
you belong in the
yeah.
universe and like and
For
like
kids.
how to be happy. And then this is like, that's a fox and a bear having adventures. And
Yeah,
then it's
yeah.
like,
You know the
you were not
story.
put on this earth to do fucking anything. So just be
Yeah.
happy. Find happiness in other stuff. You weren't meant to be a jazz player, Jamie Foxx. You weren't meant to be.
Exactly. So yeah, there was that. I guess bouncing off that as well, it's sort of part of the same point, but I do feel like more could have been done with Prince John. He feels a bit one note and like there's just not much to him. And I think he doesn't quite stand up when you compare him to other Disney villains. And he's just kind of a bit annoying and a bit childish. I would have liked as well a bit more time building up the relationship between Robin Hood and Maid Marian because I wanted to be invested in them, but it was a
Yeah.
little bit wishy-washy. It was like we had nothing of them.
The childhood sweethearts.
Yeah,
That
maybe
sort of thing.
maybe show us a bit of that. Maybe have
Yeah,
like a
baby
flashback or
foxes.
an imagining. Yeah, come on, man, how
Cute little
would that
baby
have
foxes
been?
being childhood sweethearts, and it's like they don't kiss, but they're horny, so they carve the name in a tree.
Oh
Well,
God!
you know what I mean? Like,
Just something I could have done with a bit more, I think, relationship building there. There was a few plot points as well that I had issues with. So, like, why doesn't the sheriff throw the old beggar, who is Robin Hood in disguise, into the jail with everyone else? So everyone's been locked up because they can't pay their taxes. So why doesn't the fake old beggar get thrown in the jail as well? Like, he even turns up. He walks into the
yeah.
castle, doesn't he? Arms for the poor, and the sheriff's just like, yeah, we're gonna hang Friar Tuck, we're gonna capture Robin Hood, and then just lets him go. And it's like, well, if no one else has been able to afford to pay their taxes, why do you think that this old beggar has been able to pay his, and you're just letting him go? So a bit inconsistent from the sheriff, if you ask me.
What are you playing at, sheriff? Come on.
Exactly. I thought literally everyone gets thrown in prison. Even the cockerel says, "Yeah, I'm in here too." So you know, it's
Even though can people see the cockerel?
I know he's the
Like,
he's
is
the
he
narrator, but he's
like-
sort of there.
Or is
Sometimes
he
he's there,
there?
sometimes he isn't.
Because
He's
Alan
like,
Adale is a character in Robin Hood.
right, and is that who that is?
Who is
it?
him?
Okay.
He is the the minstrel. He's the minstrel.
Right, yeah. He's like Antonio Banderas in Evita, I thought.
Yeah,
Sometimes
very
they
similar.
can see him,
Very
sometimes they
similar
can't.
vibes. Antonio Banderas and a rooster.
Exactly. Also, I didn't quite understand why Prince John was so certain that Robin Hood was going to turn up for that archery competition. And it seemed like a bit of a crazy way to sort of get him in front of him. I mean, and then it's also crazy that Robin Hood even goes at all, considering he knows that he's just walking into the lion's den.
I guess
literally.
that's a good point, isn't it? Because I guess, is the film based on the precedent that you're going into it knowing what you know about Robin Hood? Because it doesn't mention anything. Like, Robin Hood is famous, or he certainly is to me, for archery and splitting the arrow and the cap and Errol Flynn and all that. But I don't know if did I know that going into this as a kid, or it was like as I was watching it, was it explained to me? So that's a good point, actually. Is it based on a prior knowledge? Because there are plenty of people now, especially now this sort of content is available worldwide, who will probably not really know much about Robin Hood, right? Same way we wouldn't know about, myths and legends from other countries.
I mean, I didn't know anything about Robin Hood before that, and I didn't really afterwards either. That this was like most of my childhood education about Robin Hood was this Disney film. And just bouncing off that as well, then I also think that when they're doing the jailbreak, so everyone getting out of jail who's been locked up for not paying the taxes, and Robin Hood feels the need to take all of the money from the treasury. Like literally all of it. So first of all, I was like, you're wasting time, Robin. Like, this is a precious, sensitive operation. You need to get out of here. Second of all, don't be greedy. And third, it slows them down physically, right? So he's got that old bunny rabbit and a dog with a broken leg carrying bags and bags of coins whilst trying to do a jailbreak. And it just seemed a bit mad. And then just finally, and this isn't an issue for me at all, but I think it does look and sound pretty old. So I wonder if that could potentially isolate modern audiences, maybe if they would lose interest and if this isn't something that they would seek out because of that. I don't know. I don't know what the kids want today.
It is quite dated, isn't it?
It does feel that way, but
I think
that's not an issue for me.
I think it would I think back when it was made, it would capture a wider age range of kids. I think now it would capture younger kids.
Yeah, and I
So I
think
can't
quite
imagine
quite a bit younger.
if you can imagine I can't imagine I don't have kids, but I'm not too sure. But I can't imagine, say for example, a 9 or 10-year-old watching this. I can imagine a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
But back when it was made, because of ultimately limited choice, I can imagine kids up to whatever age enjoying it. Here's one for you. If you were in this universe as a character, what animal would you be?
I mean, it'll probably.
Bear in mind, there's no fish in it,
I think.
so don't be saying you're like a. I don't know what you'd be.
Probably be.
I wasn't be suggesting you choose a fish.
I think probably relate to Clucky the most out of everyone, right? Just sort of fun loving, running around.
Alice, you'd be a sheep.
Oh shit, I would, yeah. Is there sheep in it?
No, but you'd be like a bossy Welsh sheep.
A bossy Welsh sheep, yeah, probably would be actually.
Yeah, I'd be
there's
probably
no sheep in there,
like
is
a
there?
fucking vole or something, or otter or something. So I'd want to be a fox, but I'd definitely be like fucking vole.
Yeah, a servant to Robin Hood, as babysitter for his kids. Right then, so we'll move on to talking about the critical reception. So I haven't seen this, Josh. So where are we at? What are we thinking? What am I thinking?
Well, what are you thinking? What are you thinking?
What am I thinking?
So based on what I've already said, I've sort of given you an idea of why I've picked it. So what do you think it averages out at?
I think if you think it's underrated, we're probably within the 6 range.
Okay.
I reckon.
Okay.
I'll go with a low 6, I think. So I'm going to
6.
say 6.2/62%. But I would give it a bit higher than that. But I know a lot of that is coming from the nostalgia factor.
Yeah. Okay, so at the time of recording on IMDb, it gets 7.5 out of 10.
Ooh, okie dokie.
Which is okay. That's okay. Then at the time of recording, the audience on Rotten Tomatoes give it 81%.
Wow, that's us, that audience.
Yeah, that's us. And it's what we've said before.
Sure.
Audience score is usually people who either really, really liked it or really, really hated it. It's not very middling, whereas critics is more of a reflection on critical view, I suppose. That's the whole point, isn't it? So the critics gave it, and this is why I think it's underrated. 55%.
Ooh, okay, yeah, that does feel low.
So if we're looking at the critical reception, is it underrated?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah! Robin Hood, Little John, walking through the forest. Oo-De-Lally.
Golly, what a day.
Okay, so there we go. Robin Hood, Disney's Robin Hood, sexy fox Robin Hood, sliding on into the underrated.
We didn't really get into that a great deal, did we, Josh?
Well, the fox is in it as sexy. The Guy Fox is sexy. Maid Marian Fox is sexy. They're sexy. So it's your turn to pick next week.
Yes.
What are we going to be watching?
We're going to be watching The Whole 9 Yards.
The Whole 9 Yards. Okay. Okay. Matthew Perry, Bruce Willis.
Say no more. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, join us next week when we're going to be talking about The Whole 9 Yards. In the meantime, if you'd like to get in touch with us, it's filmsandthatpod@gmail.com. We're on all the social medias. Just search for Just Films and That and you'll find us. We're also on your telly, Alice, aren't we?
We are indeed. We are on the local TV network every Friday from 6 p.m. So if you live in Birmingham, Bristol, Leeds, Liverpool, or the northeast of England, you can find us on Channel 7 on Freeview. Or if you live in North Wales or South Wales, you can find us on Channel 8 on Freeview. We're also on Sky on Channel 195. That's every Friday on the local TV network from 6 p.m.
Oo-De-Lally.
Nice.
Join us next week when we're going to be talking about The Whole 9 Yards. Thank you very, very much for listening. It's goodbye from me. Cheerio.
Bye.